can see and hear you. It's written. The broadcast is live.
No. Okay. I don't know why they have put it live. All right. So I think some some miscommunication has happened. One of my team member was supposed to schedule this session exclusively for 11 people, as we have discussed, correct? So I don't know. I think there is some back and forth conversation which has happened. There was another session scheduled at 3 o'clock. So we are trying our best to get all those 11 people, since you have prepared the question, answer, and content for all these people. Else, we'll keep it a short discussion for all those people who would be joining. And maybe later on, sometime next week, whenever you are available for half an hour, we can do this session. Humble apologies for that, sir.
No problem. It's okay. It happens.
Okay, great. So, super. All right. So, just a second. All right. So, I think we are live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. I have someone who I call as my mentor, and I've been in touch with him from past 2 years. Happened to meet in a conference, and lot to learn from him. And I'm sure everyone is having questions in their head how to crack interviews. So, which I believe interview cracking has a couple of stages. One is definitely which comes with what all skill set you're carrying, and during the interview, what is your representation, and post the interview, when you are hired in the company, how would you maintain a balance so that you can sustain in the organization. So we have Mr. Ajay Sharma with us, who is the founder and CEO of Get My Experts, and we have been touched from Get Me Experts, my apologies. And Ajay is an entrepreneur and working in the domain of gig economy, future of work, and future of workspace, along with emerging technology. He has spent over 2 decades in corporate world. Ajay has ventured into multiple companies. I think this is your third or fourth company, if I'm not wrong. And he has been a key member in Ericsson, where he used to hire CXOs and also set up a framework to hire different set of resources in the organization. And like I said, he has been a mentor and also advising us on various other aspects. So over to you, Mr. Ajay. Thank you so much for joining in. And people would love to hear how to crack interviews, what does it take, and now in this age of future of work, where a lot of work is now remote. Now you don't have to represent yourself wearing what you call suits or shirts. You can just wear a quick denim and be on the call with HR and try to represent your views. So over to you, Mr. Ajay. Would love to hear your views.
Thank you, Aman, and thanks for nice introduction. Yes, this is my third venture now, Get Me Experts, and I also have FlexiOrg, which is the flexible organization. Having worked in HR for last 30 years, I have had experience of being on the both sides, being an interviewee and also an interviewer. So the things which, I will share my experiences both as an interviewee and how it has changed over a period of time, and as an interviewer, what the new interviews, the interviews who are youngsters, especially freshers, what they should focus on when they are applying for a job. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things which, I'll keep on sharing my experiences, and Aman, you are more than welcome, to interject and ask me questions also.
Absolutely.
One of the things, which I have noticed, that many candidates, when they are applying for a job, they simply apply for a job because maybe it's a desperation, or maybe there are plenty of jobs available. So they just go to a job site, start putting, okay, let me apply here, kind of thing. And when the call goes from a recruiter to that person, hey, Mr. XYZ, you applied for our position. So they say, which position? Can you just tell me which position I applied for? Now that gives a very, very wrong signal to the recruiter that, oh, this person did not know that, so they say that I'm from this company. Now this candidate will start thinking that, okay, did I apply for this company? Which position did I apply for? So the point which I'm trying to put across is that, the first thing, if you are interested in any job, is to find out about the job itself. before you make your own plan of that, how will I represent myself in the interview, the first thing is whether you understand for which job you are applying, whether this is the right job for you, whether, or you are just keyword matching, and you found that somebody says that I'm looking for a blockchain expert in marketing domain for selling the blockchain technologies. Now you saw blockchain and you jumped into that, applied for it, but whereas you are a developer, you are not a marketing person. So you just simply
Yeah.
applied.
So I'll share a quick anecdote about my story. Like you all know that, and I've been telling this again and again. I did engineering by chance, and rest happened by choice. So a lot of my friends who were there in college used to say, "I wanted to work with Google. I wanted to work with Amazon. I wanted to work with Flipkart." I said,
Hmm.
"Okay, you wanted to work with all these organizations, but what you will be doing in that organization?" That I don't know. I'm brand driven rather than roles and responsibility driven. So I think
Correct,
you've touched
correct.
a very interesting point that you should know about the jobs and key responsibility before applying to an organization. And I would share your quote, like you said, organizations don't hire for today, they hire for tomorrow. And they invest in you so that you become a change maker and catalyst and start becoming a contributor. So my next question to you is, what was your calling to leave the corporate sector, and what made you start a journey in the HR or human resource domain?
So I remained in human resource, even in corporate also I was in human resource, and then later also, I moved into entrepreneurship in the HR domain. But yes, I, like any middle class person, you have a dream that you want to get into a government job. So way back in 1989, 90, when I passed out from college, I had a dream that I'll get into a government job, and fortunately, I got a job which was very prestigious one, like assistant director with National Productivity Council. Now it was like a dream come true, but I thought that that was not the place where I should have continued. So I left that and went into the private sector. Everybody has some dream that I want to achieve this during my corporate life, and over a period of 25 years I actually achieved much which I thought that is the right thing. Then after when I was approaching near 25 years, I thought that I think it's a time now that I should help others get more jobs rather than me doing job only. Now, being in HR, yes, you can interview people, but you are hiring for somebody else, so the things are not in your control. So I started my own company and started engaging people, and I thought this is the one way I can actually employ more people. I can give jobs to more and more people instead of me remaining an employed person. So that was a shift from being an employee to become an employer and help others.
Absolutely. So you wanted to become a job creator so that
Yes,
people
yes,
can upskill and then, of course, find the relevant career opportunities. See,
correct.
my journey has been always ups and down. I mean, I have not left the organization just because I didn't like the responsibility. There was always a spark that I wanted to do something. Even my first organization, I had to decide between a high-paid package job or a startup. I chose a
Hmm.
startup because they were giving me multiple responsibilities.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is one thing. Now, my next question to you, which I always wanted to ask people who are in this domain, what does it take to actually recruit a candidate? So let's take an example. I am from IIT, correct? So I
Hmm.
am uh, talking to you that I have done my BTech in computer science from IIT ABC, and I'm looking for a role of software development in your organization. So, what will be the key traits you would be looking for apart from the degree or the certificate which he is or she is carrying?
So, fortunately, I worked with some of the best companies like Cadence Design Systems, Xilinx, ST Ericsson, and had an opportunity to interview people from all the prestigious colleges. One of the problems with the candidates who are from prestigious college like IITs or NITs is, all of them are good. So when so
I agree.
so you have to find who is the best among equal. So when we used to go for the campus interview, it was very difficult for us to find that who is the right person. You give them a test, all of them will be doing very good job in the test also. All of them are JEE, qualified, and after that 4 years of qualification. And when you look at the CV, unfortunately, in the colleges, the format is also same. You have this same template which everybody is using. Now, if A person is coming, B person is coming, C person is coming, you will find that it is almost similar. Similar set of marks in the 12th class, similar set of CGPA, or similar kind of projects they have done, similar kind of suppose you are hiring a person from electronics, then you will find the syllabus is also same. Same subjects they were taught. Now here comes that who is the right person for our company. So it is not that you are the best available. Who is the best fitted person for our company? That's the question, I or HR person has. The second question, is most of these companies, the big companies, they don't hire engineers. They hire future CTOs or future CEOs. So when you are interviewing somebody, you are not interviewing a person to, develop a software. You're hiring a person because you want to invest in that person, and that person will become future CEO, CTO, or the department head or technology head of a particular area. So from the HR point of view, it becomes a very, very difficult, task to identify that who can be the right fit for us from culture point of view, from a technology point of view, and from the core skills point of view, like, problem solving skill or the analytical skill or the abstract thinking skill, etc. So we look at these fitment from our requirement rather than from the candidate's point of view only.
No, absolutely. So I remember this. There is a different perspective which can be helpful. So most of the engineers run technology startup, and that's great. But it's also important to recognize that you need to have a new perspective. What the consumers are looking for a product to build it across. And I think the world is largely beating the arrogance, overconfidence, and sense of entitlement, like you said about future CTOs and all. And most of now has to exhibit a level of humility, willingness to learn. And I think this would remain one of the important areas to get hired or get recruited in the organization for next 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only, that, learnability, etc., but, teamwork. No
Absolutely.
organization can work, with a single person. If you are one of the best and you have been, in the college or in the school, we were taught that you need to be first or second in the class. So everybody is that rat race that, I want to be first. But when you get into the organization, it is not first. It is you have to work with the team. And the
Absolutely.
team can be cross-functional also, which means that you are required to work with the marketing or the product development or the product marketing team. And then you will be having, so how to understand the different, opinion, how to appreciate that there is an individual difference. Those becomes important parameters when we are trying to hire the best in the class people.
Absolutely. So there is another thing which has been bothering me, like that what we are working in Zubi, there are about 15 lakh engineers graduating every year.
Mm.
And about 85-90% of them are unemployable. And there are some of the skills which are not taught in schools and colleges, like emerging technologies which are picking up. And
Mm.
apart from the subject matter expertise, like you have rightly pointed out, the organization is looking for a comprehensive package rather than only a technology focused what you call skill
Yeah.
developer. But if I can, you hear me, Mr. Ajay?
Now I can hear you. I lost in between. Yeah.
Right, I think we have I think he has lost his connection, so we'll wait for a couple of minutes until he. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Yeah, I
All
can
right.
hear you.
So, like I was saying, that most of the organizations, even when we are on the hiring side, we also look for a comprehensive package rather than a subject matter expertise. I think
Correct.
now most of since it's the future of work, the communication is playing an important role. And more than communication, I think it's a representation. You might be good in English, but if you cannot represent it, then it's not really something worth for an organization. And since you would be working remotely for the next couple of years or so, and most of the organization have went complete on remote work, so communication is one of the important skill set. So my next question is, I think if you look at most of the organization have stopped looking resumes. So
Hmm.
even when I went I went for the second interview in Google, they said we would advise you to keep your file outside and let's come and have a casual chat.
Yes.
So what does it take for an organization? If my resume does not matter, then my degree does not matter at all. Correct. So is it? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, you complete your question.
My question is, if my resume does not matter, my degree does not matter. So my skills and representation are a clear play to for a deciding factor in an organization whether I'm in or not. Because, like you said, they are hiring for tomorrow; they are not hiring for today. So, what are your views on this?
So it is not that your resume doesn't matter or your degree doesn't matter. That has been a qualifying criteria, and you are in the interview for that. Now, after that, for example, in at least for last 15 years, I've never interviewed a person with this resume in front of me. I normally spend, as an HR person, as a recruiter, I normally spend almost 10 to 15 minutes on each resume, note down, before the interview, because, okay, scanning is one thing, but when you're calling somebody for interview, you should understand that who is the person. Now, what becomes more important is how you are articulating your thoughts. Are you able to understand the abstract things, which the interviewer is deliberately, asking you? Are you able to synthesize your thoughts in a sequential manner so that the other person can understand? So logic building doesn't mean only coding. Logic building also means how you are communicating all. And that's why, even at the resume level also, things are changing. Now people are looking for video resume rather than the paper or the soft copy, resume. Why? Because when they are looking at you from the video angle, they are able to find out more than what you are trying to say in the form of some words. So resume remains important. The only thing is, when you are coming for the interview, it is your personality you are bringing in, and the interviewer is interested in understanding you as a person and you as a technologist both. So it is, as a technologist, yes, there are some people who will be technical and they will be asking some technical question, but the other person who is the HR person, he's trying to understand you as a personality, as a person. So it becomes more important to have the personality along. Or when I say personality, it doesn't mean that you're best suited booted and you have impeccable English, which you are talking, there. It is how you put your thoughts, how you synthesize your thinking, how you put, the how you understand the situation, and what we say normally the star model of the interviewing, situation, task, action, and results. Or now it has been truncated to SAR, which means situation, action, and the results out of it. So it becomes very important that you put your thoughts in a right manner and explain to the person so that the other person understand that who is you, who are you, what kind of person you are. That is more important than the resume.
No, absolutely. So I remember one of my colleagues have told me, think interview like a movie plot, because most of the people sometimes do not enjoy the movie in the beginning, but it's tend to be great. So I think this is because of peak and rule. As humans, we don't form opinions based on entire interactions. Instead, we tend to remember both the high points of the interaction and the last moments of it. So I
Yeah.
think that becomes an important thumb rule for any organization to decide. But one thing which always bother me, any interview you go and have it, every HR would ask you a question: where do you see 5 years down the lane? So I mean, what is the relevance of this question? I never understood this.
So yes, in the COVID time, we don't even know, what will happen next month. So so 5 years is too long a story. But I think the intent of the question is to understand that, have you made some plan in your mind that how you want to progress in your career? It should not be answered in such a manner that I want to be in your place, or I want to be CEO of this company 5 years down the line, etc. No, those are not the answer the HR is looking for. HR is looking for your ability to plan. Have you planned your career? Do you know that which skill set you will achieve in next few years? Suppose if you have gone in a a company which is say, I'll give the example from a semiconductor area, that these are some of the chipset which are going to come in next 4 5 years. So from a technology angle, will I be able to acquire these skills over a period of time? From a managerial angle, can I will I be acquiring? So if your answer is related to that skill acquisition and moving up, then the HR is satisfied that this person has something in the future in mind. But otherwise, talking about salary, designation, position, etc., I think those are wrong answers to give.
Absolutely, very true. I think perspective is very important just than a position, so it's relevant. So the other question is, since you've talked about resume, so any company hiring for a specific role, the role could be in, I mean, the requirement could be in single digit, but they receive the resumes in millions or hundreds, right? So how do I mean? So if I'm receiving multiple resumes, if I'm receiving the resumes in bulk, what would be the differentiating factor that how I can have what you call an edge over the other people who are applying for this position?
So, so here comes, the art of making the resume. If you are following a standard template which everybody is following, and you're using the same words, your education, your projects, your extracurricular activities, and the skills, etc., and you write all the skills, which means 15, 16 skills, then you are one amongst others, and there are chances that it may be by chance you may come, or otherwise you may be dropped also. So I think the one exercise each candidate should do is to find out that what is my differentiating factor, what is my USP, what is my value proposition which I am bringing. And mind you, you may have one resume, but you may have to create the alternate resumes also based on the position you are applying for. You cannot have single resume and sending for every job, because if you have carefully read the job description, if you know the company and you know the role which you are going to play in that company, and the company's, the roadmap of the product or the services they have planned, and if you write your resume or tweak your resume based on that, I'm not saying that you should fake your resume. If I have 5 skills, then which are the 3 skills which are more important for this particular job that I should highlight more? And then chances of success of you getting shortlisted is much higher as compared to using the same resume for all the type of positions which are coming in.
Absolutely, very true. So the other thing over here is, in this age of social media and digitization, most of the companies, few days back I was talking to a company based out of Australia. They said more than resume and the LinkedIn profile, it matters to us what is the what you call views of a person on different social media channels.
Yeah.
So is he a person who is too much politically involved and putting a rebel kind of a opinion on Twitter and all? Is he a person who is too much into different things which would not be essential for an organization? So they said for us, even while applying to any job, it's very important that we ask for a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram handle of a person. And I think this is also common practice in the investment areas as well. Most of the VCs trying to dig in a founder and understand more about him or her. And nowadays, if you look at few days back, one of the VC has started that instead of instead of funding a team member, or instead of funding an idea, I'd rather go the founder's home and understand more about him or himself or herself. So I think that becomes an important criteria for anyone to understand better, because if you're investing in a person for a long term, you need to understand more about him, that how does he or she performs even outside of the office space. So what's your views on that?
Yeah, no, you are right. With so much of information, we are posting on the web, whether it is social media account or our blogs, etc. We are actually giving a lot of information to the outside world and even to the interviewer also. Plus, there are a lot of AI based, softwares which are available now for the recruitment, which actually, suppose if you apply and you say that, okay, Ajay Sharma, and, they get me experts, immediately, the AI will capture all the data from the web and put it in a consolidated form that this is the kind of person, this person is. Not even social media, even sometimes I found a very funny thing, the email ID. People create email IDs during the college time. Funky Sanjay 007 or those kind of things. I think those should be avoided totally in the resume. You should not use that. And then when you're going, obviously you can't hide your personality, but don't unnecessarily give information on social media which can actually jeopardize your career. Although it is not a very good thing from HR point of view also, that use the social media input for making a decision about your job, about your candidature of the person, because you are hiring a person for a specific role. Yes, the person may have some ideas, ideologies, but it should, if it is not impacting your company, you should not get into that. But If the information is available, they will look at that. So one has to be very, very careful how you are putting your thoughts, your input on social media, especially Facebook. People are very, they just write something on the Facebook. LinkedIn still, they are still in a very, very, controlled manner. But on Facebook, they are very open. And Twitter is a very dangerous thing. When you are heat of the moment, you can shoot anything. And once it is out, it is out. You can't do anything.
Absolutely. Very true. So the other question here is, now we have talked about the right skills which I have to apply for a job. So I'm an engineer. I have certain technology skills to work in the organization. I understand the job description. I have
Mm.
realized that this is best suited for me. I prepared for an interview. Now, I mean, I'm looking for the the right way to apply for a job. So what
Mm.
should be the, what you call, what should be the steps to apply for a job? I've looked at on LinkedIn. Should I approach the HR, start messaging him or her, or should I apply it on the portal? So, I mean, what are the steps to get into the organization and leave that impression that you are unique amongst the other people who are applying?
One of the standard ways is obviously you go to the job board, and if you find the position, you understand the role first. Write down, that what are your skill set which are matching with that particular job description. Do more research about the company's roadmap. Most of the companies are putting their roadmaps or their plans for next 2-3 years on the web, so you can search it out. Yahoo Finance is a very good site where you actually get a lot of information about not only about that company, but actually it gives the information about the competitors also. So you can understand that what is this company's future and how they are performing with vis-a-vis the other companies who are in the similar domain. So if you do this kind of research, that means that you are actually serious about that particular job. The one thing which you should not do is, putting yourself on LinkedIn and saying that, available for opportunities, and start shooting, the mails or the in-mails to the HR people. I think that will not give you any edge. People may have sympathy with you, but they will not give you a job for that, So you may approaching and creating a relationship is a different thing rather than just simply applying over the LinkedIn. So I will recommend that you should somebody should go through a proper way of applying if the position is there. Because if the position is not there, and if you are sending your resume, or the HR is getting swarmed by a lot of resume coming to them, it will go in a dustbin. They will not give a serious look at that. Nobody has
Absolutely.
time. Nobody has time to look at all the CVs which are coming to them. They also have some targets to achieve their own positions.
No, absolutely. See, most of the, I mean, profiles which I've hired in the previous organization, I've always looked for a differentiating factors in terms of a role contribution. So
Yeah.
let's take an example. 2-3 people are applying. Hi, I'm applying for a software development job. I saw it on the job board. You are looking for these skills. Here is my resume enclosed. Please let me know. This is one way of doing it. The other way, better way could be, I mean, slightly better way could be, I mean, hi, I saw this opportunity. Also, I looked at on the PR that you have got a new project. You might be hiring
Hmm.
for specific project where you're looking for developers who can contribute on a specific skill set which I have, and I think I'll be able to work and relocate or contribute from the skill set which I have learned in my previous organization or gathered or something. And you put across a comprehensive image. Then the recruiter or somebody who is reading out what you call your cover letter included the resume, then it's, I mean, very much clear that he is the right set of a person, because he or she has ideally dig down deeper into what role we are looking for, what will be the responsibilities, and where he or she can fit himself. So I think that becomes a relevant. Yes, sir. You were saying something.
Yeah. So I wanted to add one more thing. With this new age which is coming in, as you said that now future of work is coming, and the one of the change which will happen in the corporate world is HR has to relook at that whether they are replacing a person from X position, or they are going to club 2-3 positions and come out with something new. So the multi-skilling will become another requirement going forward in next few years. So it's not only that you are good at coding, maybe how good are you on testing side also, that will become. Or if you're a full stack developer, that's a better position to be in rather than a particular area, focused area. So the point which I'm trying to put across is that going forward, there will be merger of positions and the roles, and you should be ready for that.
No, absolutely. You have to be relevant so that machines should not replace you rather than humans. Now it's the biggest fear that machines will take away your job. So I think we have talked about this in this conversation. We have talked about pre-interview. We have talked about during interview. What are the things which are required from an employee or potential employee perspective while you're applying for a role, and what are the ways to apply to a specific job or the opening which you have seen in the organization, and how would you represent. Now comes the time you have joined in the organization.
Hmm.
Now there comes, I mean, a major shift. They have assessed your skills. They have what you call understand about you on the representation or the impression which you have made on those 10, 15, 20 minutes of conversation. Now you have a responsibility to work with different departments. You're not only working with an HR or subsequent colleague which is there in your department. So how do you stay relevant and how do you stay employed, and rather than just getting your take home salary at the end of the month, and people are also frustrated about it.
So once you are inside the organization, your research should not stop about the company, where the company is, going. Second, you should also understand that the industry in which you are, how the industry is performing. Because industry performance and the company performance will tell you, or when I say performance, it means plan also. Plan will tell you that, where the company is heading for. And then do the self-assessment whether I am continuing in the right direction or whether my path is as you rightly said, I'm just taking the salary at the end of the day, end of the month, and I'm just doing my job. No, you are actually seeing that whether you are staying relevant in the organization for next 2-3 years or not. The second thing which is very important, and I think people should realize that every time you go, there is an appraisal, people believe that there will be 15-20% increase I'll be getting, without assessing whether my contribution is also in line with the salary I'm getting or not. Let's take an example of a person who has spent 4-5 years in the organization. He is reaching to a level which is module leader kind of thing. But if you remain focused as a developer or a coder, you are actually becoming a costly coder for the company. You're not adding any value to the organization. And yes, as soon as your contribution becomes lesser than the salary which you are getting, or means somebody else with a lower salary can actually replace your skill, then you are going to be unemployed, very soon. So remaining employable is actually your responsibility, not company's responsibility. Company will give you employment. So you are employed through the company, but remaining employable is in your hand. How to stay relevant, understand what skill set which are going to be required. Can I acquire those skills? Whether company is giving you training or not, that's not important. What is important is whether you are able to acquire those skills or not. So continuous research on the company, continuous research on the industry, evaluating self-evaluation to see that whether my contribution is right vis-a-vis my salary which I am drawing. That will actually help you give a lot of data points to work on, and after assessment you have to work also on that. Once you work on it, then you remain employable, whether you are at a junior level or at a senior level. At senior level it becomes even more problematic, because the difference, the new generation is coming very fast, and they are much agile, more intelligent than the old generation. They can easily replace the older people, so they
No,
need to be doing a lot of research at their level also.
agreed. So before I come to the question, since there are a lot of things wandering in the head of all those people who are graduating this year, since also it's a COVID time, and the
Mhm.
less number of jobs and the right skills which the organizations are looking for, I don't really have a visibility on that. But before that, one thing which is struck in my head is if you look at the value of an MBA is declining over a period of time, and even from the most schools, and it's definitely going negative. And the ROI of most of the MBA, even from the least selective school, is not really performing well. So what do you think? I mean, is it really worth hiring an MBA over somebody who has a work experience and has actually gained some of the skill set where organization can be benefited? And MBAs are of course expensive. I mean, if you're getting into the MBA school, you it's very expensive, and they take out the person out of the workforce during the core growth of the years. And So what are your views on
So
MBA
you,
as an education to pursue?
so you used a very important word in your in your question, the skill set. Ritesh Agarwal is not an MBA. Or there are many others who are of his league, who are not graduated from a Ivy League, but they have the skill set available, which is important to perform that job. So whether you are an MBA or you are a non-MBA, if you have the right skill, you will get a job. Otherwise, you will not get a job. The second is how costly you want to bring a person in. Now, this reference of that I am getting an ROI of say I invested 50 lakhs and my CTC is just 20 lakhs, so it will take 3 years for me or 4 years for me to get the ROI of my investment. I think that should not be an a thought in the mind. We are from yesteryears. My college education was 20 rupees a month only. So our ROI became very very high. When we got the job. I think that ROI should not be a focus. The focus should be am I developing myself with the relevant skill, be it MBA or non-MBA. From the company's point of view, if the person has an MBA degree, it means the person has gone through a structured approach to acquire certain skills. There are chances that the person will be able to deploy those skills in a more structured manner. But that's an assumption. During the interview and maybe in a 3 months of probation, it will be very overtly out that whether you have those skills or not. So whether you bring MBA or non-MBA, the problem is, Aman, not about the degree. The problem is the curriculum and the focus of the MBA institutes in developing the skills. If you are developing a person, for example, take the person from my, community, HR community. When you ask these people that, do you know how to write a job description or how to do a job design or how to do an organizational design, they don't know. So they learn certain, keywords, and it's not that becoming a recruiter is the first step to get into the HR role. That the whole concept is different. So it is not that you are focusing on acquiring the skill. You are only interested in getting a job. And if you have not acquired the skill, you will become irrelevant after few years.
No, absolutely. See, most of us, if you look at, don't know what we want. And I
Hmm.
also didn't know exactly what I wanted for many years. But at least that's what I told myself deep down. I knew damned well I wanted to do what you call writing, teaching, speaking, or doing some other exercise. Until 4 years ago, I was simply too afraid to pursue this career because one thing which is there, creating a career is hard. So
Hmm.
you have rightly pointed it out. See, most of us, I think, undervalue themselves, or the schools also underestimate you because they don't let you become a person which you decide to be.
Hmm.
Right? So they let you become a person in which they are getting a benefit so that they can run another production line and you can be placed on that conveyor belt. You graduate with a degree, they can do what you call advertisement, that another batch again full 100% placement. But placement is fine, but getting employed in that organization does not happen. Like most of the people in my engineering batch, I think 60-70% of them are not even in that engineering field. Most of them are doing something in the business line or something else. So I think a very
Why,
relevant point you have touched. Yes, sir.
why do we hire engineers for non-engineering jobs? Because during the engineering education, there are certain things which happens. The process of 4 years of education in engineering improves your analytical skill and problem solving skill, which is one of the requirement of the business, one of the requirement of running a business. So if I'm running a business, I'm not looking at people, whether you are from MBA or degree or X degree or Y degree. I'm looking for a core skill. What is required to manage a business. Suppose if I have a small shop, I need to understand that where is the raw material coming from, how will I process it, how will I handle the customer, and how will I service the customer, and in the end how will get the profit. So if you look at the very simply, I'm trying to put it, you require some basic skills, basic core skills. Now when you write in this CV that I know Java, I know HR, I know marketing, I know the no, those are not the skills. The skills are your ability to understand things, your ability to comprehend, your ability to articulate, your ability to solve the problem. And you're able, ultimately, the purpose of running a business is not to acquire people, but to run a business.
Absolutely. Very true. So I call these as universal skills. Skills like
Universal.
writing, leadership, personal effectiveness, persuasion, which are helpful to all professionals, whether you are a coder or a carpenter, can be plumber or something. See, ultimately, you are creating or you want to provide a value to others. If you're
Hmm.
working in that organization, you're working to provide a value to that organization. So if you don't really have these universal skills, I think you will be there for a sprint, not be a marathon. So like you
Yes.
said, it's a rat race. The winner of a rat is also a rat. So you
Hmm.
have to stand out. You have to be a cat instead of a rat, which I usually call people. And most of the people, I'll tell you from my experience, most of the people think that, okay, we will do it once we are in mid 20s, mid 30s or something.
No.
I usually tell people the earlier you start improving your universal skills, the more likely you will be ready when you get an opportunity. The opportunity can be a entrepreneurship, the opportunity can be working in the organization you desire to work, and most importantly, the role and responsibility which you are looking
And one more thing I want to add here is that, in the world of work, in 30 years in the corporate and or my own company, I have not found very high, significant correlation between the marks you obtain during the degree and the performance in the organization.
for. Absolutely.
Performance in the organization requires different skill, just not just the academics.
No, absolutely. And most of the people, see, they don't want to start at the bottom. They want to start at the top. And people are so impatient. No one ever wants to become successful. I mean, no one ever became successful by starting at the top. That's
Hmm.
simply not how life works. So just look at the kids of, I mean, rich parents, could be Ambani's kid, who give them everything. Those kids also, I mean, you would not believe they are the ones who are starting from the bottom. They are the ones how hard work and how hard it is to make a living, because that's an honor in not getting a free pass, no. So
See, if
and
you look
what,
at any job, if you look at any job, each job, people say, youngsters say that, they are looking for strategic, work to be given to them. Each job, 70% will always be routine. 20% will be slightly where you use your intellect, and 10% will be innovation. Now the percentage may vary, 60, 40, 60, 30, 10, etc. But whether you are prime minister, CEO, or a coder or a developer, the ratio may change, but largely the portions will remain same. It will be around that. So it is always glamorous to think that I will be strategic. I want to be a strategic thinker in the organization. Do that, but then somebody has to do the main job also, the core job also.
absolutely, very true, very relevant point. So one last question I would have from my side, then we will open up for the audiences. Freshers are graduating with a lot of questions wandering in their head. What are the organizations looking for? And I mean, would we be employed, or should I go ahead and pursue my MBA or a master's degree, or what should I do in life? So, what are the hacks or tips you wanted to give it to the freshers? Most of them would be watching this video maybe later or maybe afterwards as well. So, any tips or hacks you wanted to give it for the freshers, how to get into the organization and stay relevant, and how to look for an opportunities?
Yes, certainly. See, yes, the employment opportunities will be less during this time, but you have not spent your 21 years or 23 years just to get a job immediately. Your life is not ending, so the life is bigger. So, so first we have a patience, which means that, if not this year, next year you will get a good job. Now, on the learning side, a lot of webinars are happening, a lot of other stuff is happening. Is maybe, it is adding some knowledge to you, but understand, that what you want to do in your life, and accordingly, choose that particular education. I'll not say that go for MBA or go for, masters kind of thing. There are a lot of open stuff available now. A lot of e-learning opportunities are available. Create a peer group. Start sharing, amongst the peer. Go for the some kind of case study analysis, to understand that, how the organizations work. And so this is a good time. It's a very good time that you are going to actually explore yourself and find out that, what are you best at, and then pursue that career or pursue that particular skill. So I will say it is the time to do the introspection. It is the time to do the research about how the industry is moving. Even industry people don't know, where the industry is going to go, but still there are a lot of data which is churning out. Understand that the how you can learn from peers. Earlier they were your competitors, now they are your peers, because all are in the same boat. So it's a good opportunity to learn from them also. So stay put and stay relevant to the industry.
No, absolutely. Like you said, identify an industry that fits your strengths. It's definitely a tough one. And on one side, I believe that we should pursue a career we are passionate about. But on the
Hmm.
other side, I think we should not do something we are bad at. So a lot of
Hmm.
people try to add a lot of skills rather than subtracting the certain thing which I don't require. So the success of a person is not to add but to subtract. And
Correct.
my opinion is to not pursue a career in that field which you are bad at it and treat it like a hobby. So a lot of people love to make music, but they are not good enough to earn a living out of it, right? But
Yes.
that does not mean that you should stop making music. You should go and jam with your friends in your spare time. You never know that it can be an opportunity. You could be a coder. If you like to code, that does not mean that if you cannot make an earning out of it, still treat it as a hobby. Maybe one day the industry, you can identify an industry that fits your strength. And it's like you have to be so good that they cannot ignore you, right?
Yeah.
Eventually you will love the work you are good at. So I was always good at in public speaking and all. So I decided, no, even there are high paid jobs which are not giving me that opportunity, I'll go ahead and start doing some sessions which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this has been an interesting discussion, lot to learn from you. I'll open this for the audience, and then I will have my closing remarks. So guys, should you have questions, feel free to type it out. Okay, there's a question. As an undergrad students, how could the usage of LinkedIn benefit us?
So
One thing
link.
which before you start is don't post your certificates. That's not the organizations are looking for. A lot of people are uploading these certificates. I have attended this, I've done this, this is my certificate. Participation certificate is way different than what you call
Achievement.
understanding or, yeah,
Hmm.
achievement certificate.
No, I think LinkedIn is a very good platform for people to showcase, their skills. So focus on the skills. And when you say skill, which means that there has to be a relevant story behind the skill also. Suppose that you say that, I have learned a, say blockchain. I have done this certificate on blockchain. How will it help the audience? Audience means prospective employer. How will it help the person? So if it is just a participation kind of thing, as you rightly said, it is not going to add any value. But if you say that I learned the blockchain technology, and as a marketing person, or as a person, as a marketing organization, I will be able to contribute in designing some programs for you. That is a statement you are giving, which means that the recruiter will look at and see that, oh, this person is useful to me. So skill has to be manifested in some action verbs rather than just a skill.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, one quick tip I wanted to understand from you is, if let's take an example, a person you are hiring for a specific profile in software development, he or she is good at in the skills which what you call the organization is looking for. The representation also is adding a lot of value in the conversation you have had. There is a problem solving, critical thinking, but still one thing which you are not hiring a person could be a reason is.
See, one reason can be there are two candidates who are same nature, similar, and you have one position. So somebody has to go down, and normally there the behavioral factors becomes very important, in the final decision making. When you have all the people who are similar nature in terms of technology skills or the and other skills, then the behavior of the person, and that becomes important. Second is how long this person can continue with us. The HR has to look at that, what is going to be the stability of the person. Stability not in terms of job hopping, but if the person remains in the organization, whether the person will add value or not. Nobody wants to hire a person who will not become productive after some years but still interested in continuing. So how you are going to add value, which means whether you are ready for the future jobs or not. That is what the HR looks at while deciding between two important, two similar people. So having skills is not the only thing. How you are communicating to the HR or to the organization, that how useful you are going to be in future. Many times you may lack some certain skills, but if you have a learnability, you will be still hired, because if you have a good attitude, You can be actually trained, and most of the organizations are ready to train people. So the companies can compromise on certain skills, but not on the attitude side. So attitude becomes a differentiator many times.
Yeah, absolutely. Attitude can take you to altitude. That's for sure. The other thing I wanted to have, would you like to share some interesting anecdote from your interview taking process from 25 years of experience? Any interesting thing which has happened?
So I I actually hired a person who was IIT IM grad. I'm not trying to say that they are good or bad people. I'm just saying that somebody who comes with an attitude that I have acquired the best of the
That badge.
the tag. What I say, that the tilak kind of thing. That, the IIT JEE, the rank, and then the IIT degree, and then the IM degree. So three tilaks are there, on the head. So I asked this person, that what salary you are expecting. So he quoted X salary to me. I said, okay, I understand, but tell me, how will we get the benefit of your degrees? What is the ROI to us? I'm not saying that, if I pay you 30 lakhs, you will return 30 lakhs in 1 year itself. But how will I assess as a person, or how will you tell me that, you will get XYZ value if you hire me? Which means the value proposition, I'm not very clear that, what value add I'm going to do in the organization. Now, this person somehow convinced me. I was half, convinced, but the technical team was fully convinced that, he's the right person. 3 months down the line, we have to sack that person within the probation period, because this person did not have any contribution in the organization in 3 months. He was only boasting around, and he was the only person IIT IM in the organization. So people, he thought that he is the best amongst. I'm not saying you should not have a good degree. You should have a good degree, but that degree should be useful to the organization. Then only you will remain employed.
No, absolutely. Then one more thing which I wanted to give a message to all those people who are attending: stay with the organization for at least slightly longer number of years, rather than just try and hop into one organization or an organization basis on the CTC. If you are really liking your work, and even if that organization is paying you lesser than the other organization where you wanted to work with, and the responsibilities and the skill set which you are having, because over a period of time you have large benefits. One is you get the stocks of the company. Second is you become you attain a CXO position over a period of time. Third, you have a sense of responsibility, you've understood the business. Then fourth is you can take complete responsibility in expanding that business. So one thing which is also bothers me, a lot of people who also work with us and my previous organization, and the moment they see that there is an opportunity paying 20% extra, they'll go ahead and start, even if it's 3 months to that first organization.
So if we look at from a very different angle, that I am an employee, I joined an organization, and I have been given some responsibilities. There is a learning phase, and then there is a contribution phase, and then there is a result of all the contribution which I have done. As an employee, I should at least look at that what was the learning phase, when did I started contribution, and what is the impact of my contribution in that organization. If you go through this 3-phase cycle, it automatically converts it to maybe 2 to 3 years period minimum.
Absolutely.
And when you are going through the last phase, which is the result phase, your learning should start, which means the phase 1 should start for the next role. So if you continue thinking in that direction, I think you will have a longer period of stay in the organization.
Absolutely. So you shift from just an employee to become a creator of certain verticals in that organization. I think that
Yes.
becomes an important phase, because by the time you have already analyzed the impact. We have another question is, sir, I have 4.5 years of experience in application support domain. Can you suggest me how should I go and move forward? So just wanted to understand, maybe considering the present situation, what should be the ways, or what should be the, what you call, areas where you can start.
So 4.5 years, you said.
Yes, 4.5 years of experience.
So 4.5 years means the person is now moving from individual contributor to an independent contributor phase, which means that you will be treated as a subject matter expert in whatever work you are doing. And in another 1.5 year to 2 years, you will be expected that you are moving to a manager role. Manager, when I say, not the manager title, but getting the things done from others, so it can be technical role also, but in the, so now you should try to see that what are the skill set which are required to be an independent contributor and also a manager. Again, to qualify manager means to get things done from others. So if you are able to foresee that, then you will have a good career ahead. Otherwise, you will be a very costly coder, which will not be interested in hiring you.
Interesting. So I think we have another question, which was there. As an undergraduate from prestigious engineering college with a core branch, is it worth to switching a career to analyst or non-tech sector from a core domain, though non-tech sector offers a higher package? I think
So
that's a question which was there in my head as well when I was about to graduate.
yeah. So the answer is that it is not whether tech sector or non-tech sector. What career you want to make. That is first of all. That question should be answered. If you are interested in money, money will anyway come, or it can go any day also. It doesn't make any difference. How much money you are earning. The life is so unpredictable. But if you feel that you have certain skills, which is core technical sector or a core other non-technical sector will be able to utilize, and that fits into your career journey, then go for that. It is your core skill which matters rather than your technology skills.
Very true. So the advice you are giving is it's the core skills which matters, not the technological skills, the competency which you have, or possibly the degree which you have attained from the college. So I think it has been a wonderful discussion, sir, and I will just cover the key points of the discussion. Most of us are confused, of course. The clarity can happen once you analyze yourself, because it takes far more energy and work to improve from an incompetency to mediocrity than it takes to improve from first-rate performance to excellence. And you have to find an industry that fits your strengths, even if you're good at music. You have to improve your universal skills, like we've talked about: communication, representation, leadership traits, which you can attain over a period of time, personal effectiveness, and a persuasion, because at the end of the day you are creating a value, and you have to start at the bottom, because nobody would value at the top. Even if you are starting an organization, be a manager first, then be a CEO. And you have to keep developing yourself, because organization are looking to hire for tomorrow, not for today. So you have to keep learning some more skill set and keep developing yourself, so that you can become a value addition to the organization, and your impact analysis will happen over a period of time. Don't just switch on and hop on to multiple organizations. Be with one organization and stay there, stay relevant. And thank you so much, Mr. Ajay, for joining this. And I think people have learned a lot, and I have again had a lot to learn from you, from your different perspective. So thank you so much, and please take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aman, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.